It's finally here. It's finally here. It's finally here. So I don't normally make a most anticipated movies of X year, just because I don't know. I find those lists kind of boring. They're a little informative, and I like to see what people are excited about. But for me personally, I don't really like making them. But if I were to make that list, the Batman would be at number one for really any year. Like if this was coming out in 10 years, it would be on that list already. The Batman is a movie I've been excited for about almost 3 years, 2 years. I don't really know quite the timeline. Ever since I found out that Matt Reeves was directing this movie and that Robert Pattinson would be starring in it, that's when I got on board. That's when I was like, all right, I'm going to follow the production. I'm going to follow everything. I need to know when this movie's coming out. I need to see it. And then the teaser came out in 2020, I believe, and then we got another trailer in 2021, and then all the build-up, and now it's finally here. I got to see an advanced screening. It's Wednesday when I'm filming this, so I don't know if I'll be uploading this Thursday or if I'll make it in time on Wednesday. I don't think so, but yes, I saw this movie early. I pre-ordered tickets a while ago, and it's finally here. The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, is finally here. Now, if you can't tell by the insane amount of Batman movies that I own on Blu-ray, here's all of them right there, or just like all the comics that I own, and knowing me as a person, Batman is my favorite superhero. Yes, I guess it's a little generic. I guess that's kind of like a very popular answer, but I just adore the Batman, and I think he's easily my favorite superhero. Like, it's not even a contest. Like, I love Spider-Man and Captain America, but Batman has always been my guy, and I just couldn't have been more excited for this movie. The trailer looked exactly how I wanted it to look. The director, Matt Reeves, was exactly who I would have chosen. Robert Pattinson was a little bit of a question mark for me, no pun intended. But, or like Paul Dano playing the Riddler was perfect. Colin Farrell playing the Penguin was a good choice. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Who am I blanking on here? Did I already talk about Colin Farrell? Colin Farrell as a Penguin. It just, everything was, Zoe Kravitz as the Catwoman. That was perfect casting, I think. And, I don't know, I was just so goddamn excited for this movie, and I am so happy to say that it did not disappoint. The Batman, I'm not going to call it perfect, and I want to preface that before I start gushing over it, because it's not. But for personal enjoyment purposes, for what I wanted out of this movie, I think it was incredible. I thought this movie was near perfect for what I wanted out of it. As a movie, no, there's some things I would have changed. There's some aspects of it that were a little shaky, but nothing that is a deal breaker, nothing I could point out and be like, oh, that's really terrible. Just a little nitpicky stuff that I noticed that kind of bothered me. But as a fan of Batman and as a fan of this movie, I guess, I really wouldn't have done that much different. So it's easily my favorite script and story out of any Batman movie we've gotten so far. Look, I love The Dark Knight. I love Batman Begins. I love the Tim Burton Batman movies. My favorite Batman movie still is Under the Red Hood, the animated movie. But purely from a story standpoint and a script standpoint, I think this one is the best. It comes at it from a neo-noir detective story, which is something, ask almost any Batman fan what they've been wanting to see on screen for a very long time, is the detective side of Batman, that more mystery, kind of, you can go unsettling with it, darker, and less Nolan dark, I guess, because this movie is going to get a lot of comparisons from The Dark Knight. It's going to get a lot of comparisons to really any Batman movies, but especially the trilogy and the way Nolan went about making his Batman movies. There's going to be a lot of direct comparisons to that, but I feel like this movie not necessarily took the same path, but took inspiration from that and ran with it. I think it's definitely more comic book accurate, and which is not something I really harp on at all. I like the Nolan trilogy a lot. I don't think it's like not comic accurate or any bullshit like that. But this movie definitely feels more true to Batman in a sense, and the detective side really came out and took forefront in this movie, and I thought it was perfect. I was eating up every minute of it. The mystery, the crime solving, the different things with the police and Commissioner Gordon, and just all the little plot details that slowly unfolded throughout the entire movie. I was so engaged with, and I was so engaged with Matt Reeves's brilliantly structured script, and just the story that was being unfolded in front of me was just eye candy. I'll get to more eye candy later, which I think you can already tell what I'm talking about. But the story of this film and the plot was just exactly what I wanted from it. It was the right amount of unsettling. It was the right amount of mysterious. It was the right amount of emotional. It was the right amount of almost everything. And I really want to commend the script for this movie. And from a lifelong Batman fan's point of view, and finally getting a dark neo-noir detective story really was just perfect. It was the icing on the cake with this movie, and I was just like, yes, I am fully on board with this. There are moments of the story that I don't love. The first 20 minutes drags a little bit, and some of the aspects with the Penguin I really don't love. I thought Colin Farrell did great. I really thought his performance was fantastic, but no spoilers whatsoever here. I think that there were moments where they misused his character a little bit, and it kind of got distracting. And I wish he was either in the movie less or more, and he's kind of in the middle in that way. And I know they're doing a spin-off show. I know that's what this movie was kind of hinting towards. But I truly believe that the Penguin definitely could have been utilized a little better in this movie. Those are my only genuine flaws with the movie. Those are the only real shortcomings that I could come up with when kind of debriefing and dissecting my thoughts on it. And those are the issues that stand out the most to me with the Batman. But that's not really what I want to talk about. The cinematography and direction from Matt Reeves was impeccable. Again, I thought he was just the perfect choice for this movie. I've loved pretty much everything he's put out. I like Cloverfield a lot. Both of the Planet of the Apes movies are some of my favorite movies. Just in general, I love both of them. Let Me In was fantastic. I really am a big Matt Reeves supporter, I guess, and like wanting him to get more work and wanting him to make more movies. And I thought he was the absolute perfect choice for the Batman. I was really happy to see him, of all people, get that directing, like get this movie. Getting him to make this movie, I thought was perfect, and I thought he just did a brilliant job across the board, especially visually. This movie visually is also my favorite Batman-wise. Just some of the shots in this thing and the way that Gotham is framed and the way that Gotham is portrayed in this movie, I think is the best. And the cinematography in this movie, not only it is artful and it is going for more of like a less of like a superhero-y cinematography, more of like artful, I guess you could say. I don't know, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but it works. It for sure works with the tone of this movie, with the Batman character, with the neo-noir style. I think it works perfectly, and there's so many gorgeous shots in this movie. The entire thing is framed so perfectly. I thought Paul Dano was really, really good as the Riddler. I thought he was the perfect choice. He was unsettling in all the right ways. There was a moment where it was a little awkward, like unintentionally funny for a second, and that's the only thing I can point out with his character. There was one awkward moment. I was like, that doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie. But his portrayal of the Riddler I thought was perfect. I didn't think he was just copying the Joker like a lot of other people do with their performances as Batman villains. And I thought he was creepy and unsettling in his own way. I thought he portrayed Edward Nygma the best way you could possibly angle it, because the Riddler can be more of a corny villain at times, but I really think he can be unsettling and creepy, and I thought this movie took the perfect direction in that and made the Riddler really an imposing foe to Batman, and especially Batman and the Riddler's relationship in this movie I thought was so strong. And I like Paul Dano, and I thought he was fantastic in this movie. So there is that. And this may just be recency bias. That could be the fact. But I think Robert Pattinson's my favorite Batman. am 99% sure of it. I thought the broodingness that he took to the character, I think the way he's just gone fully into the Batman and has stopped caring about Bruce Wayne and his mental health and everything. He's just throwing himself into this fight, into this investigation, into this taking down of Gotham's corruption. I think that angle and that way he went about portraying Bruce Wayne and Batman was perfect. The right amount of emotion, the right amount of broodingness, the right amount of intimidation. All perfect. I think he is a complete package when it comes to Batman. I think he brings the best of all of the actors into it, and I think he is the best portrayal of Batman in any movie, and I just think that he did a phenomenal job, and I think, again, he's definitely my favorite Batman. Zoe Kravitz was also phenomenal. I have to point her out. I thought she was great in this movie. I really don't know if she's my favorite Catwoman, because Michelle Pfeiffer. She is my favorite Catwoman to be in a movie. I thought her take on it was definitely the best. I just thought she was phenomenal, and everybody's going to be saying that, but she was truly great. Made up for Kimmy for that dumb movie that came out earlier. She was phenomenal in this movie. I knew she was a great actress. I just like to make fun of that movie. But the action is the last thing I'm going to talk about. It felt authentic to Batman. It felt so just pure eye candy to watch. It was so satisfying to see this kind of action in a Batman movie. It fits so perfectly with the tone. The way it was framed was so great. And I could just watch this movie, basically, for over and over and over again. Just for the action, for the emotion, for the trauma, for the investigation, for the detective side of Batman. Just everything coming together to make this not overly stylized, this very stylized version of Batman, this very Batman version of Batman. It'll make sense once you see the movie. Me saying that, I thought it was great. I just ate up this movie, and yes, it has its shortcomings. Yes, it has its moments where I thought it was a little weaker, but what is phenomenal in this movie is so great that stuff kind of doesn't matter. So it's kind of hard grading this movie just because there's one side of me that wants to give it a very strong A-, just because some of the flaws made it a little less enjoyable and a little less as phenomenal as I thought it was going to be. But there's the real side of myself, the side of myself right now, and how I feel right now is just over the moon for this movie. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought even the shortcomings, there were strong moments inside of the things that I had problems with. I thought that Robert Pattinson was phenomenal. Zoe Kravitz was great. Paul Dano was great. I thought that Matt Reeves did a phenomenal job. This entire movie really is what I wanted from it and did not disappoint. It is my kind of Batman, I think, and I'm very excited to see where they go forth with it. I don't see a lot of movies be beating this one out for Best Superhero Movie of the Year. I think this movie, even though it's very early, firmly has a place in my top 10 favorites of 2022, and I'm going to give The Batman a light A. A light A. This movie was so close to being an A+, really. Maybe if I see it again, I'll think that way. Also, it does not feel like a 3-hour movie. I totally forgot to mention that, but this movie's pacing is perfect. Exactly what it should be. Never drags, except for the first 10 minutes or so. But other than that, really this movie is phenomenal. And yeah, so that is my review for The Batman. And I'll see you guys a little later this week.